In the dead of night, with the moon hidden behind thick, ominous clouds, Mark set out on a journey he would never forget. The highway stretched ahead, its asphalt veins disappearing into the inky darkness. He had heard stories about this road, whispers of eerie encounters and unexplained phenomena, but he dismissed them as mere tales to spook the faint-hearted. As Mark drove deeper into the night, the world outside grew quieter. The only sound was the soft hum of his electric car's engine and the rhythmic patter of raindrops on the windshield. The road seemed to stretch on endlessly, winding through dense, looming forests. Suddenly, his headlights caught a glimpse of a figure standing at the roadside, drenched in rain. Mark's heart raced as he approached cautiously, offering help to the stranded traveler. The hitchhiker was a woman, her face concealed by a hoodie and a mask. She didn't say a word, but Mark felt a shiver down his spine as he invited her into the car. With the mysterious passenger beside him, Mark continued down the highway. The woman remained silent, her cold gaze fixed ahead. Unease washed over him, and he began to ask her questions, trying to break the eerie silence. She finally spoke, her voice chillingly monotone, recounting stories of accidents and tragedies on this very road. Mark couldn't help but wonder if she was just a ghostly apparition. As minutes turned into hours, Mark noticed something odd about the woman. In the dim glow of the dashboard lights, he saw that her hands were translucent, her feet disappearing into thin air. Panic gripped him, realizing that he was sharing his car with a ghost. Desperation took over as he sped down the highway, trying to escape this spectral passenger. But no matter how fast he drove, the ghostly woman remained, her presence sending icy tendrils of fear down Mark's spine. Finally, he reached the outskirts of a desolate town, its streets eerily empty. The woman pointed to an old abandoned factory and whispered, "Here, this is where I reside in the digital realm." Mark stopped the car, watching in disbelief as the woman stepped out and slowly dissolved into lines of code. Terrified and shaken, Mark sped away from that haunted highway, vowing never to return. He would never forget that night drive, the night he encountered a digital ghostly hitchhiker, and the chilling realization that some roads are haunted by the past, with stories that can never be forgotten. One gloomy evening, as I embarked on a solitary road trip, my senses were on high alert. I'd heard the whispers and tales of the eerie encounters on this particular stretch of highway, but I, like many others, dismissed them as products of overactive imaginations and urban legends. Little did I know that this night would change my perception forever. The rain poured down relentlessly, adding an extra layer of eeriness to the already unsettling atmosphere. I was cocooned within my sleek, self-driving car, navigating through the maze of modern technology. The autonomous vehicle hummed quietly, and I watched the raindrops dance on the high-tech windshield. Suddenly, an unexpected ping disrupted my tranquility, an alert from the car's sensors. It indicated a person stranded on the roadside ahead. Reluctantly, I slowed down and pulled over, thinking it might be someone in need of assistance. As my car's door automatically unlocked, I stepped out into the downpour. There she was, a young woman soaked to the bone, her hoodie and mask concealing most of her face. I could barely make out her eyes, which seemed to shimmer with an unnatural glow. Without a word, she climbed into the passenger seat, and the door closed behind her. My heart raced as I tried to strike up a conversation, but she remained eerily silent. Her gaze remained fixed ahead, as if she were searching for something unseen. My unease grew with each passing moment. I asked her where she was headed, but received no response. Instead, she began to speak in a hauntingly monotone voice, recounting tales of accidents and tragedies that had befallen travelers on this very road. Her words sent a chill down my spine. As the minutes turned into hours, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I glanced at her hands, which appeared translucent, her fingers fading into the car's interior. Panic surged through me as I realized I was sharing my car with a ghostly presence. Desperation gripped me, and I hit the accelerator, hoping to outpace this supernatural passenger. But no matter how fast I went, she remained, her ethereal form undisturbed by the laws of physics. Finally, I reached a deserted stretch of road on the outskirts of a desolate town. The woman pointed to an abandoned building with neon lights casting eerie glows. "Here," she whispered. "This is where I reside in the digital realm." My heart pounded as I watched her slowly dissolve into lines of code, vanishing before my eyes. Terrified and shaken, I sped away from that haunted highway, vowing never to return. I couldn't erase the memory of that night, the night I became a victim of a digital ghostly hitchhiker. It served as a haunting reminder that the boundaries between the real and virtual worlds can blur, especially on dark, rainy nights when reality itself seems to be a fragile construct. The eerie encounter remained etched in my mind, a chilling reminder that some stories are not just legends, but unsettling truths that can become all too real. One brisk autumn evening, I decided to take a drive through the countryside to unwind after a long week. The road ahead was illuminated only by the soft glow of my car's LED headlights, creating an eerie tunnel of light amidst the encroaching darkness. The stories I'd heard about this desolate road seemed nothing more than campfire tales, but that night, reality would prove otherwise. My smartphone was my sole companion, providing navigation and entertainment. As I cruised down the narrow, winding road, I became engrossed in an audiobook, the words transporting me to another world. The occasional rustling of leaves in the wind and the distant hoot of an owl were the only sounds to break the silence. Suddenly, my phone emitted a strange, ethereal tune, unlike any notification I had ever heard. I glanced at the screen, only to find it displaying a navigation app I didn't recognize, its icon a ghostly silhouette. Puzzled, I tapped on it, and the app began to provide directions, guiding me down a seemingly forgotten side road. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to follow the app's instructions. The path grew narrower and more foreboding with each turn, leading me deeper into the heart of the wilderness. Tall, gnarled trees loomed overhead, casting sinister shadows on the road. Then, a dim figure appeared at the side of the road, clad in a tattered cloak. My heart quickened as I pulled over, thinking it might be someone in distress. The figure, its face hidden in shadow, slowly approached my car. A sense of unease washed over me as the cloaked stranger silently entered my vehicle. The figure's presence was palpable, its breath icy and its aura unsettling. I tried to strike up a conversation, but received only eerie silence in response. As minutes turned to hours, the road became increasingly surreal. The surrounding trees seemed to twist and contort, their branches resembling gnarled hands reaching out to grab me. My passenger finally spoke, in a chillingly monotone voice, recounting tales of forgotten tragedies that had occurred on this very road. My apprehension deepened, and I noticed something uncanny about the figure. In the dim light, I could see through the cloak, revealing nothing but empty space beneath. Desperation overcame me, and I tried to flee, veins, but the road had become a maze, twisting and warping to confound my escape. The phantom remained, its presence hauntingly immaterial. Finally, the app guided me to a decrepit, abandoned mansion shrouded in mist. The phantom pointed to it and whispered, "Here, this is where I dwell in the digital realm." With that, it dissolved into lines of code, vanishing into the night. Terrified and shaken, I sped away from that cursed road, vowing never to return. I couldn't forget the night I became ensnared by the phantom apparition, a victim of a sinister app that led me to a digital ghost. It was a haunting reminder that the boundary between the real world and the digital realm is far thinner and more treacherous than we could ever imagine, especially on dark, mysterious nights when the unknown beckons from the shadows.